Welcome to the Werra Foxma Records podcast. With our special guest, Letters from Mouse.
Hi there everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Werra Foxma Records podcast. I hope you're all well. Today I have Stephen Anderson, otherwise known as Letters from Mouse. He's joining us for a bit of a chat. Stephen, how's it going, buddy? How you keeping?
Fraser, all right, man. Yeah.
Good.
Always good.
Always good to hear your dulcet tones, sir. So, Stephen is a wearer of many hats. He has recently joined the kind of team at WFR, helping out with kind of, you know, the dirty work of press and promotions and PR and sending out press kits and stuff. He doesn't do that just for us. He does that for the good guys at Music is the Devil as well. And on top of that, he does his amazing Magic Window radio show on Sunday nights on Mad Wasp Radio. And if that wasn't enough, he's also an extremely accomplished electronic musician who goes by the name of Letters from Mouse. And he's got multiple releases on multiple labels. He's done some self-release stuff. He's done stuff on Music is the Devil. He's got some upcoming stuff on Sub Exotic, which we're really excited about. And he's also contributed to the amazing Castles in Space subscription library as well. So a busy boy. How do you find the time to do it, man?
Oh, I have no idea, Fraser. I don't know. No, you know, I'm getting into a decent routine, so I'm quite an early riser. So when I'm having my coffee and before I'm home working like many others at the minute. So I tend to sit in my pajamas, have my coffee, and I'll boot up the laptop, and that's when I do a lot of the radio stuff. So sorting out the submissions, downloading those. I get a lot of Bandcamp codes and stuff, and I get them all sorted and ready in the play queue. So a lot of that gets done very early in the morning. Started pulling some of the promo stuff then as well. So we're obviously building a list of names that we're sending stuff out to, and just getting a bit of that correspondence with them. Again, early in the morning, it's an ideal time to do it. So that gets a wee bit sort of out the road, and the rest is just fit it in when you can. You know, you're trying to work. There's kind of family life going on, albeit we can't really go out or anything just now. So, God knows what it'll be like when life is a wee bit more normal.
We'll take the Magic Window show, we'll probably start there. I mean, that's one of the kind of guiding lights of our scene. It's regular as clockwork. The quality of the submissions that you get, you know, is staggering from a multitude of different artists. You also focus on, artists, features as well, by giving them kind of like a segment of your show to play like mixtapes and, maybe like a mixed session of recorded material. How long have you been doing Magic Window? Has it been going a while? What's the kind of history behind the show?
No, I started, it was January last year. I think I submitted just a sort of reel of a mock show of an hour to Mad Wasp Radio. I used to do a radio show 20 years ago on a few different stations, and I just thought I'd get back into it again. So sent that off to Mad Wasp, and they, God knows, they liked it. So
they bit your hand off for it.
Yeah. So ended up, first show, I think it was the 3rd of January or something, and I was down in London, and I'd travelled down on the Sunday. Nightmare journey, took way longer than it was supposed to. Eventually got into the hotel, managed to get a quick sort of carry-out dinner, got back into the hotel just in time for it all sort of kicking off, and sitting in that hotel room, really nervous, your first show and stuff. I mean, it's pre-recorded, so but you're on Twitter and I don't know, just putting yourself out there. I hate the sound of my own voice. I hate that side of it. I wish I could just do a show and play tunes, but I don't know if that's a bit impersonal. It's good to get a wee bit of chat about the people.
Yeah, I think it's good to give people, just a little bit of light shone upon them, because you can have. I mean, I've been listening to your show for as long as I've known you, which is, I mean, that's only maybe 4 months after you started the show.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So we've known each other for a fairly long period of time in the lifespan of Magic Window. But my God, it just felt like you'd been doing it forever. And it kind of felt like, with us at Werra Foxma coming in as brand new, pretending to be a label really at the beginning, and coming in, and here's already a handful of fully formed electronic based music shows on community radio all around the world. I was just like, my God, this is like a brand new world that I've kind of stepped into. How long did it take before the show kind of started to gain traction with, some of the big hitters of the kind of indie electronic scene?
Oh, have we got any traction?
Well, you've got thousands and thousands of followers, and you've got a dedicated listener base who are actively engaging when the show's on every single week, because you're there tagging all the artists in real time on Twitter as it's happening, and fans and other musicians and everybody that's in the scene get involved. It's a bit like when we do Facebook Live stuff. It's kind of like that. I mean, it's clearly influential because, sales of products from not only ourselves but other labels, it can be directly attributed, to airplay on Magic Window. So it must feel good that, you're doing as well as you're doing, because I think it's an indispensable show.
Oh, that stuff, when that happens, and I know people, they do pick up some of the releases that they hear on the show. I know, certain people have been signed after doing their session on the show. Somebody not a million miles away from this conversation.
Indeed, yeah.
That's brilliant. That is fantastic. I think that for me is one of the main reasons for doing it. It's all about getting ears on music. I mean, these guys are putting so much effort into what they do, love attention, and they're doing a fantastic job. So yeah, a little bit of payback for them. It's what it's all about, isn't it? So. Yeah,
a bit of goodwill goes an awful long way, and I think we're both finding that out, in pretty large ways. I mean, it might be kind of small in a grander scheme of success if you're maybe putting, like a value on sales or units sold or whatever. But I mean, you see the feedback that you see even just on your show, and even when you're talking about your own music. It's just such a kind of gratifying thing to see that, you're having an impact on, hundreds of people's lives. And that's what I get out of it, because, in terms of us doing electronic music, it can be quite niche, but people are obviously loving it, because you wouldn't have so many people creating music to send into your show and then having people listen to it. So I think that there's a real kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Synergy.
There's not only synergy, but it seems like the scene's completely alive. It's It's completely thriving, and whether that's people like you were alluding to, maybe having a bit of extra time on your hands because of lockdown, and you're not going to gigs and you're not having social events with family and friends and stuff. You're finding that you're staying in a lot more, and if you're a musician and you've maybe got a few hours to spare that you might not have had 2 years ago, I think people are being far more creative. So radio shows like yourself are benefiting from that, because there's just tons of stuff that's coming out. I mean, you even look at your recent Inside the Magic Window compilation, which came out in February on Music is the Devil. I mean, it's just an absolute who's who of the scene involving your show. I mean, it's absolutely gobsmacking, and it's been a privilege to kind of play a tiny little part of that, and it benefits Mad Wasp. But so that is probably the single biggest release that's happened in 2021 in terms of the impact that your show has on the electronic community. So you must be feeling great about that.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, yourself included, everyone that got involved in that, and all the tracks that made it onto the release, in my eyes, are top notch. They're all fantastic tunes. Everybody really did bring the A game. So
yes,
absolutely delighted it's been received really well. Just hats off to everyone.
For news about the latest releases from Werra Foxma Records, follow us on Bandcamp, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Right, I want to talk about how you kind of, got into music, because I think that the kind of origin story is probably as fundamentally important as any. What kind of did you latch onto first, kind of growing up in terms of not just electronic music, but music in general, and how did it impact your kind of early life?
From not a musical from the playing point of view family, but definitely from the listening point of view. Mother was very into sort of Motown and all that kind of thing, and all the old 60s doo-wop songs, all of that sort of stuff. So that has sort of come back round to me in later life. I mean, obviously when I'm young, I'm like, that's rubbish, but you appreciate it when you grow up a bit. But no, my stuff early on, I think my first love was the Stranglers. Just amazing, sort of blew me away. I wanted to be Jean-Jacques Burnel, coolest man on the planet, and what a noise he gets out of a bass guitar.
Hopping about.
Doing his kung fu. Some boy, but just fantastic band. Went to see them a lot when I was young. They came to Edinburgh Playhouse quite a lot. That's when a ticket would cost £5. I think I've actually got one £3.50.
Those were the days.
1979, £3.50 to see a band. But from that, Stranglers, Pink Floyd, was a bit of a hippie, Grateful Dead, a lot of rock, Zappa. I've got really quite an eclectic taste, which has got even more eclectic as I've sort of grown in years, but everything from death metal through to freeform jazz, it's I love it all.
That's quite a range, that's probably as extreme a range as you can go. So you have that kind of quite a heavy exposure to a variety of different music. Now, we know each other through the kind of electronic scene. What would you consider to be the head turner from an electronic standpoint that has kind of made you take the direction as a musician today?
See, going back to, 1998, round about then, I think at the time I probably still had hair down to my backside.
Really?
Oh,
I can't imagine it.
I had long hair all my life. But started going out to the clubbing scene in Edinburgh. Kind of changed my life. It was quite an amazing thing. I mean, my hair got tugged a lot by people. You were kind of an oddity in a dance club at that time with long hair. But no, I think that sort of stuff. And then obviously you get the chill out stuff, and you know, Boards of Canada, just bang, there you go. Aphex Twin, bang.
Yep.
And that was you. Never look back. So them played Autechre. The four of them, they're the big heavyweights, aren't they? So.
Yeah. Oh, in terms of alternative electronics, you know, those are the four pillars. There's absolutely, and it's a really interesting kind of period, that post-rave, pre-trance kind of period of like kind of, I don't know what, 93 and 98, where the rave scene was slowly getting kind of legalized into what turned out to be, you know, super clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed the music along with it, and it made it a lot more straight-laced. Because, I mean, I was maybe 2 or 3 years too young to really fully embrace rave culture by going to raves. You know, so I just stared at my hi-fi like a lot of 15-year-olds and listening to Stepping Out on Fourth One, just dreaming of going to Res and Fantasia and all those huge tented, you know, arena gigs. And then that kind of all changed with Criminal Justice Bill and all that kind of stuff around 94. And then you have that amazing Orbital at Glastonbury appearance in 94 that kind of made a lot of people kind of sit up and go, hang on a minute, you can have acid house at a rock festival.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally stood up the test of time. Rave sounds dated. That kind of electronica, I think, will last forever.
That's created a whole, in my eyes, a genre of its own, hasn't it? So, but you're right. The sort of BOC copycats. I don't know. I can see why people get a bit annoyed. You know, everybody likes a woozy synth, and I use them myself. But it's about, you know, doing something different with it as well, and not. And there's one. I'm not going to name names, but there's one particular album last year. I mean, it was excellent. It was really well done, but it was just a total Boards of Canada rip-off, you know, from start to finish. And, you know, it kind of put me off it. Just, you know, it was carbon copy. There was nothing original in it at all. Why are you doing that? Just, I don't know.
It's tricky because the production aesthetic for a lot of that stuff actually plays into the hands of a lot of amateur producers, because you're destructing stuff. But I'll tell you something. I find that infinitely more interesting to listen to than someone that's trying to squeeze pristine sounds out all the time. And, you know, and there are exceptions to that rule. You know, I think modern melodic house music suffers because it's a bit like Syndrome from The Incredibles. You know, once everybody's super, then no one's super.
You're listening to the Werra Foxma Records podcast, featuring special guest, Letters from Mouse.
But I want to digress away from your radio stuff to your main musical project, Letters from Mouse.
Okay.
So for people that, you know, give a damn about backgrounds and history, the only reason that me and Stephen came together was through a net label called Cavi Collective, who's run which has been running for, God, what, 25 years, 1997?
It's a long time, aye.
It's a hell of a long time. And again, I didn't know about it. And, me and Ali had just formed kind of Dawn of Our, and I suppose we were looking for like the fastest musical friends possible. So onto Twitter you go, and onto Instagram you go. And you're finding your feet and you're finding people. And then I come across this artist. And hang on a minute, he's got a track called Pokemon. That's 2 minutes from where I live. What's going on here? And I think we followed each other on Instagram. You can stop me if I'm wrong, by the way, because memory's not what it used to be. But I think we fast followed each other on Instagram, and it was just like, dude, I stay in Armadale. Where are you? Pokemon, what's going on? And it's just like, hang on, and because you had a release come out on Cavi Collective, which is like a kind of free label that distributes free music, and I think they put like about an album a month out, and there's this album Proto Human, and it's just like, my God, this guy's 5 minutes from a doorstep. This is incredible. So tell me a little bit about the kind of the history of the Letters from Mouse project and when it got started.
Oh God, it's probably coming up only 2 years. And it all started. I was doing a lot of cycling. Haven't done much since I got back into making music, ironically. But because I think I'd put up a video of me cycling along, and I'd put, I'm sure it was a Boards of Canada track, and I got a copyright strike. And I'm like, right, I'll just have to make some music for that then. And I think I started off with, I don't know, is it Band Lab or something? And I did a 69er cover.
Yes,
on that. But
saw
it
that.
was purely piano. I was like, I quite enjoyed that, and I vowed never ever to come back to it. I used to do drum and bass sort of stuff back in the day, about 2000, kind of vocal drum and bass. So, and I'd kind of given that up and not done it for a while, and never ever thought I'd ever get back into it. But I did that and quite enjoyed it, and from there I was like, I'll maybe just see what kind of DAW action that there is, and
Right.
got a DAW. And that's and so I don't know, 2 years down the line, and the hardware setup is growing, the modular setup is growing. It's just frightening, isn't it? It's frightening.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody looks on kind of Letters from Mouse's Instagram, and and just kind of scrolls through a little bit, I mean, you started off with like a handful. It's just grown ridiculously. I hope you're still paying the mortgage, because it just every week it just seems like you've added some new expensive bit of stuff. And it'd be really interesting to kind of hear about the kind of creative process, because the first album that I came across, from you was kind of Proto Human, and I think that was pre-modular. So tell me a little bit about the construction of the tracks, that went into that album, and what your kind of creative process was to make it.
Well, that was all software. So that was before any hardware at all. And it's like a journey of just getting back into music making. You know yourself, there's quite a learning curve with all of this kind of gear, and just learning the DAW, and then the different VSTs and everything. So it's just like I don't know, it's a nice record, I think, of the journey. I think that's the way I'm looking at every single release. It's like a little bit more of a development. Things get, I'm still trying to stick to very simple melodies, very simple beats, and I just want to make things nice and simple. Probably because I'm not capable of much else, but we'll just stick with the simple, and it seems to work.
You're listening to the Werra Foxma Records podcast.
I mean, the latest album, Watching, was a masterstroke in PR as well. You know, and again, you know, I'm failing you to run on a record label, but I'd never at that point considered doing a Facebook live stream of a whole album with comments going down at the same time, and then putting the pre-orders out the minute it ended. Whose idea was that?
I think I actually stole that from Tom from Soul Flask. So he did one with Mahorka.
Right.
And they did the kind of live album launch, and you know, they're really good. You get to chat to people and ask them questions and stuff, and it looked like a lot of fun, and you know it was. And
it was great.
Some people turned up, and it was lovely. Yeah, it was a great wee night.
Yeah, it was fun. But I mean, the pure, what I gleaned out of it, and obviously I'm trying to just absorb as many of the good things that the artists and labels are doing, and then, you know, try and incorporate them into what we're doing at WFR. And I just looked at that and I thought, that's just a brilliant idea. And I'm, you know, the amount of pre-orders you had, because you've got people by that point, and you'd done some really cool visuals that went hand in hand with a lot of the kind of music. The one that I remember kind of going down the rabbit hole in was when you played Helix Nebula.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like the best. I mean, God almighty, it feels like it's like a lost cluster track or something. You know, it just feels like it's been done from like 40 years ago and deserves all of the NASA space footage you can find to kind of go along with it. I just thought that whole experience from beginning to end was just a masterstroke. And then you hit your pre-orders, and then before you know it, boom. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, the pre-orders, you pretty much sold out of them by the time the album came to launch. Would that be right? You were more or less there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which would absolutely delighted Fraser, you know. Really nice. Yeah.
That's the goal. God, I wish we could do that with everything. But it's nice because you're almost getting instant validation for not only the album itself, which people are getting to listen to, you know, unfettered. Because you know what it's like on Bandcamp with pre-orders, you put 3 or 4 tracks up, so you're not really getting an overarching view. And there's merits for and against for that. But then when you're getting to listen to a live stream of a whole thing, and there's pretty visuals going on, and you're having chat with the artist and all your peer group, you'd be inhuman not to support that. So that's getting stolen for something down the line. And,
well, I stole it. So.
Yeah, totally. Good artist copy and great artist steal is the phrase that
Absolutely.
pays, right? Good stuff. So, moving on from the albums itself. Now, you were talking about, you know, a little bit about the technology there. So what DAW was it that you kind of started to kind of do the LFM stuff on? What's your kind of go-to DAW? Okay,
so it's not a very popular one. I don't know why, but Traction. And I started off with the free one, and the free one is, I mean, it's unlimited. You know, you have as many, you know, a lot of free DAWs that they limit the amount of tracks.
Yeah, they cripple you.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is unlimited. Basically, they've got a pro version, and every year they kind of trickle stuff down into the free one. So it's a fully fledged DAW, but got really into it, and eventually just went the pro route as well. So bought the pro route, and they've got some really good instruments on there, samplers. Their VST bundle of effects with compressors, chorus, echo, you know, all that type of thing. Again, it's really good, and it's designed to work with the DAW. So, I can't speak highly enough about it. So, Traction Waveform, that's what it's called now.
Right. Okay. Mate, I'd never even heard of it. Because I mean, that is like, because you've got your Champions League of DAWs, and then you've got other lesser known but fully capable DAWs that some pros rely on, and then there's this, which I'd never heard of. Do you think that the fact that you're using a different DAW influences your music differently from other people?
No. I mean, we're using that as a glorified tape recorder a lot of the time now. You know, I mean the first album, Proto Human, was all done in the box, so maybe a bit then, but now, yeah, I mean most of the stuff, it's all hardware. I'll use the odd VST synth for just little extra wee fillers and little bits here and there, and sort of post production. But no, it's just a big tape recorder, isn't it? But you know, it's really impressive what they can do in that DAW. They've got little racks that you can set up and wire them to your heart's content, and you know, I mean, it's really easy and simple on the face of it, but I think you can really dive down a very deep rabbit hole with it. It's just got to be good. But
yeah, totally. I mean, now that, I mean, you've obviously kind of went fully down a very deep modular kind of route. So I take it that really informed quite a lot of the stuff that you recorded for, you know, watching. Do you think that that's more of kind of modular than DAW? Is that the main difference between that and Proto Human, do you think?
Well, with watching, that is mainly hardware, and then some of the later tracks, a bit of the modular starts popping in.
Cool.
You know, that's the whole thing I was saying about the kind of journey. So, first one, all software. Second one, you've got hardware with modular creeping in. Third one is all modular, really.
Which we haven't even talked about. So yeah, so we've got you've been teasing this third LFM LP for a while now. Are we too early to find out, you know, stuff about it? What can you tell us about, you know, this third album?
I don't think I'm giving much away, but it'll be called Angara, which is Scots Gaelic for the garden. And you know, it's all about, I mean, we look onto the burn and some woodland, and we spend a lot of time looking outside. Obviously, we've got magpies, mice, squirrels. They've all got little names. Obviously, my kid names a lot of them, and it's, you know, just an album written with that as an influence. I mean, you look out and you see, you know, human civilization. They're all running about in their cars, going to work, all blah blah blah. But looking out and watching these wee guys go about their stuff, like this little whole ecosystem just in your garden. So the album is, I think, when it does come out, be out on vinyl on Sub Exotic. But I'd love people, if they're gonna stick that on a Sunday morning with a cup of tea and just look out your window.
Right. So there we go.
And watch.
So it's a soundtrack to watching your world go by. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Oh God! So you must be stoked that it's coming out in vinyl. Can you kind of tell us much about, you know, the artwork, the kind of variants? What can we look forward to as a customer here?
Artwork is lovely. Again, Dan at Sub Exotic has played a bit of a blinder. I think, I don't know much else. We're still sorting out some little details. There's I can't know.
You're dying to tell me, but you can't. I know this feeling all too well.
Yeah, I've not cleared much with Dan. So.
Yeah,
let's not get me in trouble.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I live in fear of that all the time, so I just blame it on like Omerta, you know, like we're in the peloton. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm not speaking out. But we're really looking forward to it. I mean, can you tell us even a release date? I mean, when can we expect it?
Well, the vinyl has been ordered, so I guess there's a bit of a delay on all that. I'm guessing that when we know it's coming, we'll set a release date then. But the test pressing, we get Anthony Ryan.
The man.
He's a magician.
The boy. Some lad. So we're using Anthony for the Electronic Music Travels LP, which is maybe the safest of all safe bets you could ever place along the process of making a vinyl record. You know, because you have full confidence. I mean, we obviously have a working, relationship for the both of us, I suppose, for the stuff that we do, for Castles in Space. So it feels absolutely automatic, to kind of go, with Anthony. I don't know what he does, but I know he's bloody good at it.
For news about the latest releases from Werra Foxma Records, follow us on Bandcamp, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Let's actually move on to, your relationship, with Castles in Space. So you became involved with 3 other rather esteemed artists for a really, really special release on the subscription library, which is chemistry themed. So it's basically it's about the British achievement in chemistry, and there's 4 15-minute tracks, and you're in pretty good company with Everyday Dust and Rupert Lally and Repeated Viewing. How did you luck your way into this one?
Well, I mean, first of all, what an honour, and you're right. I listened to all of those guys. And I don't know, when I said this, a bit of an imposter syndrome sitting there, like, oh my God, when you find out who the other 3 are. But many thanks to Colin for the invite, just sort of out the blue, and you've obviously been like yourself on the isolation tapes on the digital thing, but yeah, just lovely. But I've had about a month to do it, and you're given the subject. I mean, the whole thing on the library, they've got the booklets come out.
Oh, it's stunning.
And it's stunning, yeah. It's beautiful. And I mean, the other guys, their tunes are out of this world. It's a really nice hour of music, and I think they've nailed the brief. Each of the different subjects. I think everybody's done a really good job. And yeah, I've even went on to eBay and bought a set of those stamps. So
you're not the only one. I bet. Yeah, there's somebody that's making an absolute killing.
Oh, totally.
70 sold in the last hour. What? Why?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, they're not telling you why. It's just I saw everybody just rushing out, and that's just a nice companion set of stamps. And if anybody's kind of wondering what we're on about, there was a set of stamps to commemorate, different things to do with achievements in chemistry, I believe, and I think it was done in 1977.
Yep.
But these stamps aren't a work of fiction; these are real things, and folk just went on eBay and are buying up the whole collection for pennies. And Colin's made this into a fairly collectible thing. But I mean, how did you approach writing 15 minutes of music from beginning to end? That's incomprehensible to me, how you guys have achieved that.
Well, I thought I had lots of time. I was finishing off the kind of 3rd album, and originally Colin had said deadline, I think, was about Christmas time, and then out of the blue he was like, it's 20th of November. So I had I was like, oh, okay,
crap.
Yep, I'm on it. But I think I sat for a few nights, and I mean, you've got vitamin C, you're thinking chemistry, you're thinking, I've got to have a bubble in there somewhere, Yeah. So I sat playing with just funny noises for a few nights, and you're just trying to get those ideas building up, and an idea of what you're actually going to do. So, but yeah, I think once I had an idea, I was off and running. Put it that way. So a few kind of long sessions, and I had something I think I was kind of decently happy with, and then probably a week of polishing, and but it was really good fun. It was, I think that was Colin's hope. He wanted everybody to approach it in their own way, interpret the subject matter in their own way, and then see what happens. And yeah.
It's interesting how you touch on imposter syndrome, because no one's felt more imposter syndrome than yours truly over the last 6 months. And it really can be quite a devilish thing to try and overcome, because we're both not young pups, right? We're both kind of in a certain time in our life where traditionally a window of opportunity in music will have passed us over for a variety of different reasons. But then when stuff starts happening to you and opportunities come your way, deservedly, because of a variety of reasons, whether you're a talented musician, you're a good person, you communicate effectively, you don't screw people over, you do things for others, and then just opportunities just start to happen where they never happened before. And I know from personal experience, I was kind of feeling, why is this happening to me now? How did you combat that? Because it can be such a debilitative state of mind that it can almost make you stop right at the point of you getting to where you want to go. How do you overcome it personally?
Well, I mean, my mortgage isn't sort of dependent on what I do with music, so
Sure.
the day job takes care of that. So I think all of the pressure is off. I say that about imposter syndrome. It's just amazing when you end up working side by side with people that you've really admired,
100%.
Only natural, but I mean, like everything else in life, I just throw myself into it, Fraser. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, I've kind of, landed, how do you say it? Not the butter side down.
Yeah.
Like with your toast, everything's sort of done okay, so just throw yourself into it. I think that's all you can do.
To support Letters from Mouse, check out his back catalog at lettersfrommouse.bandcamp.com.
We were talking earlier on about the synergy, and we are very lucky. This might not have happened 20 years ago because we didn't have Bandcamp. We didn't have, and props to Bandcamp for they're responsible for a lot of good.
It's a revolution.
Aye.
Completely.
So you've got all that that's really working in our favour, but we are lucky to have that real circle. And you talk about all the other radio shows. You've got Kate, Dark Train, Lee Pylon doing his Kites and Pylons. You've got Bleak and many others. Simon with Anticipating Nowhere. Darren Giddens
with Collider. Yeah, totally.
What a voice on the radio he's got. I wish I had a voice like his. It's so professional. But anyway, because I'm anything but professional as usual.
Well, you know what? I put a tweet out not that long ago just saying just how much it lights up my day when you mispronounce a song or an artist.
Yeah.
Oh God, you had me buckled the other night, and it was totally. And I did that for you with Concrete Animals because the B-sides. If you didn't know Icelandic syntax, which I didn't, I don't pretend to speak
I'm a bit
Icelandic.
rusty on that.
I had to completely Wikipedia do the pronunciation thing for that, and so it's quite enjoyable. And I don't think that the Dawn of Earth stuff's magically complicated. I mean, there's way more complicated track names than that. But you give it a go. See, Kate will cop to this in a second. She'll crap out of trying a really complicated name. But that's also equally funny. But I mean, what a position that we're in, that we're able to, share, amazing music. You're now involved in WFR as well. So I bribed you with free Yum codes for life to kind of get on board and help. And when you said you wouldn't get involved in running, you know, a kind of label or be involved, so we're really, really excited to kind of, you know, have you on board, you know, doing some of, you know, sharing the load, because as I alluded to off air, it got to a point last year where I was trying to do it all and I was drowning. And it was a good thing because, well, not that drowning's a good thing, let me rephrase that. People are really getting behind WFR, which is making it more popular than I'd ever intended it to be. But with that comes stuff to do. So the fact that we are now able to kind of share some of the duties out will make it not only kind of more, you know, give the label more clarity, but it also makes us more efficient as well, because we've all got our own kind of little roles to do and stuff. So thank God for you guys, because it'd be a real swimming uphill experience, and I wouldn't be getting any sleep. Hazel would have packed her bags and left, and I'd be doing it all by myself. So I'm eternally grateful to you for that. But that's not the only thing that you collaborate on with me. Right at the very start of WFR, we teamed up to do music together. So give me from your side of things the Räven Musen project and what that has kind of meant to kind of our working relationship going forward. How do you feel that that's kind of impacted how we're sitting today as musicians?
An interesting question. I think it's like getting to know somebody a little bit better, isn't it? With that, when you collab with somebody, and you know, all that went really quite well, and I think you build up that level of trust and stuff, and you know, like I say, you do get to know somebody, and you conducted yourself really well, and we got to know each other, and like we had a bit of a conversation earlier. You know, you're not everybody's a good guy. So doing that sort of thing, I think you get a measure of who somebody is. So I think that little EP has set us up kind of nicely for friendship, for WFR and future Räven Musen, because it is happening.
It is happening. We're not telling anybody anything about that right now, because it's in its first trimester. We've got about 6 months to go before we even talk about that. But here's how I'd distill the relationship, you know, and how important Räven Musen is, because when right back at the start, I'm talking like it's 20 years ago, like it's Zoo or Factory or something. It was like May 2020, and because when we put the Dawn of Our album out, when me and Ali did that, we did it on Werra Foxma Records, but it was just a name, because the name was basically an extension of Werra Foxma Studio, which is where I'm sitting in now, talking to you, which is my kind of, you know, my home studio in my garden in Armadale. So it was a natural thing that if we're going to have a vanity name for a label, we'll call it that. We already had a logo, you know, there was nothing else to do, you know, it was fairly natural. And then lockdown obviously happened in the March, and it changed all of our lives. Obviously, we don't need to kind of talk about that. That's been done to death. And I think we were just in that period of, we were just discovering each other on Instagram, like we talked about. And I think the discussion about a collaboration, I think we were talking about that within like half an hour of texting. It was just, it felt, we'd pretty much measured up. Yeah.
Collab, bro, and then a wee fire emoji. And I'm like, oh my God, who's this guy?
Oh God, he's not going to be one of these guys that's going to, yeah, you know, it's from, you know, Atlanta or something like that. But I just felt that there's a kind of, well, there's a West Lothian connection. I mean, we stay in neighbouring towns. So it wasn't as if you were just instantly grabbing onto the first person that paid you any attention. So I knew that there would be at some point, you know, we can just, you know, meet up with it and, you know, drive down and, you know, when this is all over, you know, go to the Double Five or whatever that's safe to drink, and we can chat. But that EP, if that didn't, this is we're talking about joining the dots. So if we didn't email Cavi Collective we would never have had that first album on Cavi Collective. And I wouldn't be browsing the back catalogue and I wouldn't have found you. We then wouldn't have had that conversation. We then wouldn't have collaborated. We then wouldn't have trusted each other. The Secrets of Snowdiving EP would never have came out. And then, not long after we put that out, you sent me a text saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Hi Fra, how you doing? I've got something to run by you that might be of interest to you. Let me know when you're free." And that conversation changed everything. And that was the conversation that you pitched Strange Selectors to me. If there's one singular moment that changed the course of our label, Strange Selectors was it. Tell me about, from your perspective, how amazing that project was.
Oh, there's no secret what a ride that was. The 4 DJs involved, the 3 other guys, we've already talked about them, Kate, Lee and DJ Bleak. Just wonderful to work with those guys, and the artists that we got involved, unbelievable. But we were chatting for a little while about it and what or how we would release it, and this is just as we're sort of doing the Räven Musen thing. And we kind of went round the houses. We were going to self-release, we were going to try and get it on a label, but I think with us chatting, it just seemed to be, I don't know, a kind of natural step. And I think you had already sort of mentioned going down that route, and it's like we kind of knew you'd be, I don't know, is hungry the right word, but something like that would be just so, if it all worked out, it would be really good for you guys, for the for the label, 'cause, I mean, for the 4 DJs, it's just about getting something out there, isn't it? It's not about the money or fame or cars.
Let's get it out there. I had barely any idea of what I was doing. But what? No, I'm not meaning that in a small way or in a self-deprecating way. Everything that was coming out prior to that was me and my buddies' music, right? Mm-hmm. So there was Donover, which came out in the March, which was really 2 months before the label was properly born. And then we had a few kind of releases to help launch the label. So I'd done a big techno track with my mate Davey Watkins. I'd obviously done the Loop Union LP with Mike, which I was just incredibly proud of. And there was the Werra Foxma remix I did for Martin Christie, and look what happened out of that. We've now got this EMOM LP that's coming out of that, and then obviously the EP that you and I did. So it's crazy to think that from the June from that Räven Musen EP collaboration, 4 tracks, to the September, that the relationship had basically went from feeling each other out and trusting each other, to then basically committing to doing what I considered was a huge deal. I mean, I was going from 25 card wallets to 100 jewel cases, dealing with some of the biggest artists. With loads of really cool stuff. All of those collector postcard things that Kate made, and all the stickers and the amazing
She played a blinder,
didn't have artwork, the promo videos, and I just remember thinking, right, I've got to at least act like I know what I'm doing. Right? And it was like the duck on the water, nice and cool, but pedaling like a maniac underneath.
For news about the latest releases from Werra Foxma Records, follow us on Bandcamp, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
we are now intrinsically linked, and none of the stuff that's happening in WFR would have been possible without your involvement. So that's how I feel about our relationship, is that this journey that the label's on couldn't have been possible without your involvement.
Well, that's well cool, Fraser. First of all, I think you've taken the Strange Selectors thing and really run with it and set a really high bar for WFR. And like you say, you're continuing that. I mean, you see the stuff coming up on Twitter all the time, and people are delighted they're getting these little packages in that have got so much care and attention in them. So, again, hats off to you. You're doing a fabulous job. But with everybody else, I mean, Soul Flask and Bendu, I think because of the radio thing, I speak to that many people, and if I can line people up with other people and where they can work with each other like you've done, then that gives me a huge buzz as well. And thank you to, I think both Ben and Tom have been very generous in their thanks for that sort of thing. Both lovely guys. But I think for me, that's the whole thing with the radio. You end up kind of in the centre of quite a lot that's happening. Yeah. And it's just lovely to see people getting on, good people who are, just taking these opportunities and getting on with it. So, really heartwarming, isn't it?
It's great. But it's not just doing good for good people. It's doing good for good people who are creating amazing music. I think 2021 is going to be a kind of watershed year for us. Software, absolute belter. The Inside the Magic Window compilation, if you haven't already got a copy, I strongly advise you to do so. It's got some incredible artists. I mean, from a Werra Foxma point of view, Donna Verve contributed track, a slightly alternate version to the 7-inch lathe cut that we put out towards the end of last year. But a lot of Werra Foxma friends that are in there. All my friends are Ghosts, Bendu, naturally, Campa Wolves. Hi Alex, Central Office of Information, with an amazing long-form piece featuring good old Space Terrapin, which is a hell of a listen. But other people that were part of that Strange Selectors stuff, including, the likes of Survey Channel, and Forest Robots. Eon Lake's got a great track called Nightcrawler on there. It's just an absolute Aladdin's cave of great stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's Music is the Devil's Bandcamp page that's going through. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So pick it up. Again, all the proceeds from that are going to help the guys at Mad Wasp. It's not cheap. It's not free to run a kind of community net radio. There's fees, server costs, and all that kind of thing. So you have sold plenty of copies without the unnecessary overheads of a 7-inch lathe cut, but never mind, we'll move on from that. But it's going really, really well. I mean, you'll be I think by the time this is going out on air, you'll have probably done easily 100 digital downloads. I think you're more than 60% of the way there, as it stands right now. 38 tracks. There's like 3.5 hours worth of just the most sublime electronic music. You've done a tremendous job on curating that. That's no mean feat, rustling up 3.5 hours of just pure quality stuff. So that's testament to your taste and the trust that the artists are putting in you. So you did a great job there. I'll get you out of here on one final question. What are your hopes for the future?
I'd like to be able to go outside again.
Oh God. So no guided tour around Hexagon Sun or anything like that. No meet and greets with Square Pusher, or just want to go to the pub.
Aye, that would be enough. No, I think. I mean, this year it's already off to an exciting start. So, just more of the same, Fraser. I think you were saying earlier on, it is quite a journey. Everything is on the up. So, more of the same. It's just really, I mean, it's kept me sane all the way through the nonsense that's going on. Speaking to so many nice people and just getting involved in things it's just wonderful.
It's been brilliant that you've played an integral part in our growth as a label, Stephen. I'll forever be grateful for that. Thank you very, very much for your time, and we'll hopefully see each other in the not too distant future, dude.
Absolutely, Fraser. Thanks for having me on. But this year I would love to get up to Armadale. I don't know, I'll cycle up with my modular rig on my back. Hopefully
That's a
Ali will
steep
be
hill,
through.
by the way. Tippett Hill's brutal.
Oh, that's easy.
Not for me, it's not.
And let's make some mad noise.